This is your Autodesk Inventor Multiview tutorial. After you have created a piece, you need to convey how to create that piece by using a multiview. Multiviews are documents that convey technical information from engineers to manufacturers. Here we have a piece that was created, named Gray Piece, and we're going to create a multiview drawing of this piece. To do this, we are going to open and select the Warn A template that is located in your teacher's class files. The class files are located in the Dropbox. So if we go to your teacher's server file, in this case Mr. Green's, class files, IED, you'll see IED Warn A template. Open this. The template will load and this dialog box will come up. Go ahead and click yes. After you've selected yes, you'll see that we now have a A-size sheet of paper in front of us. At the bottom, we have a title block, which includes name, file name, date, period, and scale. To bring in our piece, we are going to use the upper left-hand button called Base in the Place Views tab of the ribbon. As we select Base, you will see that we have this nice dialog box. The dialog box will either select the last piece that you have created, in this case Gray Piece because I have it open, or it will ask you to select a piece. If you need to, you can use the Open Existing File button, and then you can go to your U drive where you have saved your puzzle pieces, IED Puzzle Cube, and you may pick the piece. I'm going to continue to use the Gray Piece. After you have created this, you want to select a scale. Now, scale can be different depending on the size of the object. In this case, for the puzzle cube, 1:1 will work just fine. Now, before you click OK, you can just move this box off to the side. And you can see that we have the front view of our object ready for us. And we can place this front view where the front view normally goes in the bottom left-hand corner. If you do not like the front view that you have the option to change it in two different ways. You can either change it using the Draw View dialog box by changing the view orientation, or you may go back to your part and change the view cube orientation. In this case, my orientation is good. Remember, we want the front view to be in its most stable position, its longest dimension, and the one that shows the least hidden lines. So after I've selected my front view, I'm going to left click. I have now placed my front view down there. Now without clicking anything else, all I do is I drag my mouse up and you can see that I have projected the top view. I will left click again. I will then drag my mouse to the right to create my right view, click again, and then isometrics are generally helpful to anybody building this, so we'll move to the upper right hand corner to place an isometric. Now you can see that the dialog box tells us after we're done selecting view location, we can choose Create from the right-click menu. So we will right-click and choose Create. You will see now that we have created our 4 views for our multi-view drawing, our front, our top, our right side, and an isometric. Now, something we can do is we can change a few options of how these views look. In this case, we like our top, front, and right side, but our isometric, we can give it a nice shaded view to represent it a little better. So you can see as I move my cursor over between each view that this red dotted box shows up. We are going to put our cursor over the top view where we have our red dotted box, our isometric, and we are going to click on that. Once we double click, you'll see our drawing view dialog box opens once again, but our orientation is a projected view. That's fine. We're going to change our style at the bottom to a shaded style. Once we select that, we're going to hit OK. And now you can see that our isometric is shaded. Once we have our drawings complete, we still need to add in 2 key pieces of information. That is period and scale. Well, as you saw before, our scale was 1:1, and your period is whatever period you are in for that day. On the left-hand side, our browsing bar, you will see where it says Sheet 1. Sheet 1 might either have a plus next to it or a minus. We want to make sure it has a minus to open up all the internal options of our sheet. And what we want to do is we want to edit the scale and period, and that's going to be located in the WTHS IED title block, the second one down. We will click on the plus sign, and we will get field text. Go ahead and double click on that. Once it's double clicked, a properties field box will emerge. You can see here that period and scale, all we have to do is type those in. For this example, we'll say period 1, and we know our scale is 1:1. Once we type those in, we can select OK, and you can see down at the title block, we have 1:1, and the period is 1. Now finally, we have 4 more puzzle pieces to complete. To do this, we need to create more sheets on the left-hand side. We should never ever use more than one file to create multi-views. We should only use one file and create multiple sheets in one file. So to do that, on the ribbon, we can go to something called New Sheet. When we select New Sheet, a New Sheet prompt text shows up. Well, we used period 1 before, so we'll use that. And the scale, we technically don't know the scale, but we know that for the puzzle cube, 1:1 works really well for every piece, so we're going to select 1:1, and we're going to make sure our scale is 1:1. As we select OK, you can see now that there are 2 sheets in our browser bar. In our browser bar, sheet 2 is now highlighted white, where sheet 1 is grayed out. Sheet 1, if we double click on it, will take us back to our original first gray piece. If we double click sheet 2, it'll bring us back to our blank one. So once again, if we want to create a new piece, we can go base. We can then go to another piece that we have, and we can place this piece in. Now, if we look, our current view that we're selecting it at will actually give us hidden lines. And we do not want hidden lines in our front view. So now I'm going to show you how to get rid of those. First, you can just go ahead and click on any view and select the delete key on your keyboard, and it'll ask you if you want to delete that. You can delete that. Now we'll go back to base. We will select the piece we want, and you can see now we want to flip that piece. So in our drawing view dialog box, we will go to change view orientation. Now we'll change the view orientation so our front view is now our back view. We will select Finish Custom View, and you can see now that those hidden lines are now object lines. Our scale is 1:1, so we may place our front view, our top view, our right side view, and our isometric. Right-click, Create. Once again, we can double-click our isometric, select Shaded, and we now have an isometric shaded view. The last thing that we will need to do is add dimensions to each of these pieces. So after you create all 5, you may go back to your sheet 1 and start to add dimensions. Remember to follow your dimension guidelines. The dimension tool is located in the Annotate tab, and we can use dimension. Once we select dimension, there are many different ways that we can actually dimension. We can dimension point to point, line to line, point to line, or just a line. So for example, I'll show each one. In this case, if I wanted to dimension this line, I could easily just select this line, drag my cursor out to the right, and I'll have my dimension. Now once I click, you'll see that this Edit Dimension box comes up. You can just go ahead and hit OK. So you can see that's just line. If I wanted to dimension that same line, I could go from point to green point. When I click on that, it's the same thing. Or I could dimension from line to line, and once again I can get the same thing. So there are many different ways to dimension. You just need to make sure that you are following your dimension guidelines. Most importantly, following the ones that place dimensions between adjacent views, not chain dimensioning, and also making sure you have your overall dimensions in there. Remember, whenever you create a dimension, you're still in the dimension tool. So if you need to delete a dimension, you need to right-click, click OK. That'll exit you from the dimension tool. You may select the dimension and click delete. This is your multi-view tutorial.